This just in. Do you break out in a cold sweat every time you have to explain what your business actually does? If you are tempted to outsource your entire brand personality to a hallucinating chatbot just to avoid the agonizing pain of writing, you are about to make a massive mistake. Look, I get it. You are incredibly good at your job. But the moment you sit down to write a simple About Us page, your brain completely shuts down and you suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to go vacuum your living room. We usually chalk this up to standard procrastination. But according to a fascinating new article by Professor Emily Renee Johnston in The Independent, that mental block is actually a deeply biological process. Translating your chaotic business reality into clear, concise words is one of the most neurologically demanding tasks a human being can perform. We currently live in a digital landscape completely drowning in automated robotic slop. If you want to stand out, you have to be undeniably human. But before you give up and let a machine vomit generic buzzwords all over your homepage, we need to look at exactly what is happening inside your nervous system when you write and why putting your business struggles on paper is the ultimate form of entrepreneurial resilience. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Vicky Sidler, a StoryBrand certified guide and duct tape marketing strategist from the Strategic Marketing Tribe. And I help small business owners like you build failure-proof marketing by focusing on the exact 20% of effort that drives 80% of the results. All so that your marketing stops feeling like a miserable second job you never asked for. I believe your absolute greatest competitive advantage is simply sounding undeniably human. Because, let's be honest, if your marketing is a chaotic mess, your brain is probably a chaotic mess too. You cannot survive a world of AI-generated garbage if you refuse to do the mental heavy lifting. So download my 5-minute marketing fix to strip the terrifying overwhelm out of your messaging so you can confidently tell a clear, undeniably human story. Okay, now with that out of the way, why is a blank page Google Doc so terrifying? When you sit down to write your marketing copy, you aren't just picking out fun adjectives. You are forcing your brain to do massive amounts of heavy lifting. Professor Johnston explains that translating your thoughts into written words is a highly complex mental task. It forces you to retrieve memories, make active decisions about what matters, and engage the visual and motor systems of your nervous system all at once. You have to take the massive, terrifying whirlwind of running a business, the cash flow, the anxiety, the difficult clients, the imposter syndrome, and compress it into a linear, logical sentence. It feels exhausting because it is actually exhausting. Writing forces your brain to convert chaotic, short-term panics into structured, long-term memory. It is a process of integration. But while the initial act of staring at a blank page triggers massive resistance, pushing through that resistance yields a spectacular biological reward that a robot simply cannot replicate. So how does ink actually defeat your amygdala? We are constantly told that resilience is an unshakable, superhuman optimism, but science proves it actually just looks like a notebook and a pen. Brain imaging studies show that simply putting your feelings into words is the fastest way to regulate a spiraling emotional state. When you are drowning in the daily operations of your business, your amygdala, the cluster of neurons responsible for detecting threats and triggering the fight or flight response, is running completely out of control. You are trapped in a constant state of reaction. But the moment you start labeling those problems on paper, everything shifts. Johnston notes that the simple act of naming the chaos calms the amygdala and actively engages your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for logic and problem solving. Externalizing your business problems onto a piece of paper signals to your brain that you are back in control. When you let an AI write your copy, you stay trapped in the panic. Which brings us to why a brand script is your best defense against AI slop. Most founders just want to skip the painful writing process and jump straight into letting ChatGPT generate a flashy, buzzword-filled website. But if you outsource the writing, you outsource the clarity. We are completely surrounded by automated, soulless marketing. In the story brand framework, writing out your messaging is not just an exercise. It is an act of reclaiming your agency and your humanity. You are intentionally choosing to make meaning out of the noise. You are defining the villain, the problem, plotting the journey, and positioning your business as the secure guide. When you clarify your message yourself, you aren't just fixing your website, you are actively regulating your own psychological state. You cannot guide your customers if you are secretly drowning in your own operational chaos. And hiding behind AI-generated jargon will only drive them away. You need an urgent, necessary weapon to force your brain out of the fight or flight response so you can stand out as an undeniable human expert. Get my 5-minute marketing fix. It acts as a rapid diagnostic tool to help you externalize your chaotic business ideas, stripping away the generic AI slop so you can write a clear, highly profitable narrative. Stop losing sales. Download the fix now. You can get it for free in the description below, or you can go to strategicmarketingtribe.com/fix. But what about you? Do you break out in a cold sweat every time you have to explain what your business actually does? I'll go first. I used to physically sweat when trying to write my own website copy. I would stare at the blinking cursor for an hour, write half a sentence, delete it, and then suddenly decide that Thursday at 2 p.m. was the perfect time to deep clean my oven. I did absolutely everything to avoid the mental heavy lifting. But StoryBrand changed all of that for me. Okay, your turn. What is your absolute worst, most ridiculous avoidance tactic when you are forced to write your own marketing? Let me know in the comments. I'm Vicky Sidler from the Strategic Marketing Tribe, and I post helpful news updates for small businesses every day.